Neon nights in LA. The Los Angeles of 2147 was a city of contrasts. Towering skyscrapers pierced the clouds, their surfaces reflecting holographic advertisements that painted the streets below in shimmering hues of neon pink and electric blue. At ground level, the streets were a maze of chaos. Bustling markets, shadowy alleys, and the hum of autonomous vehicles weaving through a never-ending stream of people. The rich lived high above, in luxury pods hovering in the skies, while the poor scrounged for survival in the labyrinthine depths of the megacity. Detective Alexa Ramirez was one of the few remaining real cops in a world dominated by automated drones and algorithmic law enforcement. A veteran of the LA Police Division's Cyber Crimes Unit, Alexa had spent the last 10 years fighting the corporations that seemed to run the city more than its government. But tonight, she wasn't chasing a petty hacker or investigating a stolen identity. She was going after the biggest target of her career, NeonTech Industries. NeonTech wasn't just a corporation, it was the corporation. Its influence extended into every facet of life: transportation, security, healthcare, and even the justice system. Officially, the company was a provider of cutting-edge technology that enhanced the lives of millions. Unofficially, Alexa knew it was a beast fueled by greed, corruption, and unbridled power. Her obsession with NeonTech had started 3 years ago when she uncovered evidence of their role in a citywide surveillance program that secretly harvested personal data from millions of citizens. That evidence had cost her everything: her reputation, her squad, and nearly her life. Tonight, she had a chance to take it all back. The rain came down in cold sheets as Alexa leaned against the side of her matte black patrol bike, scanning the crowd through the augmented reality display built into her visor. The rain distorted the neon lights around her, creating an almost hypnotic blur. She pulled her jacket tighter, her badge glinting faintly in the glow of an overhead sign advertising NeonTech's latest bioimplants. Her contact was late. She tapped impatiently on the console of her bike, pulling up a schematic of the NeonTech Tower, the heart of the corporation's empire. The building was a fortress, equipped with top-tier defenses, both physical and digital. Breaking into it was a death sentence, but Alexa wasn't doing this alone. A shadow detached itself from the alley across the street, and a wiry man in a hooded jacket approached. "Detective Ramirez?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the rain. "You're late, Jax," she replied, her tone sharp. "Do you have it?" Jax glanced around nervously before pulling a sleek data drive from his pocket. "This has everything you need: floor plans, security protocols, key access points. But it wasn't easy to get, and if NeonTech finds out, I'm as good as dead." "You'll be fine," Alexa said, taking the drive. "Lay low for a while." "Easy for you to say," Jax muttered, his eyes darting to the shadowy drones patrolling above. "They've got eyes everywhere." "Not everywhere," Alexa countered, sliding the drive into a hidden compartment on her bike. She swung a leg over the seat, revving the engine. "Stay out of sight and don't contact me again. You've done your part." Jax disappeared back into the shadows, leaving Alexa alone with the weight of what lay ahead. She had what she needed to break into the NeonTech Tower, but the real challenge was surviving long enough to expose what she knew was hidden inside. As she rode through the rain-slick streets, Alexa felt the familiar mix of fear and determination tightening in her chest. NeonTech had taken so much from her, but she wasn't doing this for revenge. She was doing it for the people who couldn't fight back, for the voices drowned out by the hum of the corporate machine. The city blurred around her as she sped toward her safe house, her mind racing with plans. She knew the risks. Once she entered that tower, there was no turning back. NeonTech systems were as ruthless as the people who ran them, and if she wasn't careful, she'd end up another statistic in the morgue files. The neon lights above her cast fleeting shadows as she disappeared into the night, ready to take on the most dangerous mission of her life. Little did she know, NeonTech was already aware of her moves, and they were waiting for her. The rain had stopped, but the streets of Los Angeles were still slick with reflections of neon lights. Alexa Ramirez stood at the edge of the city's busiest district, staring up at the imposing NeonTech Tower. The building was a fortress of shimmering glass and steel, stretching so high it seemed to pierce the clouds. Holographic advertisements danced across its surface, promoting the corporation's latest advancements: bioimplants, neural enhancements, and security systems touted as perfectly safe. To Alexa, the tower was a symbol of everything wrong with the city. Its walls hid corruption, exploitation, and secrets powerful enough to control millions. She knew tonight's mission was a long shot, but it was the only chance she had to bring NeonTech down. At her safe house earlier, she had spent hours poring over the schematics Jax had provided. The tower's central server room was buried 30 stories underground, accessible only by an executive lift secured with biometric scanners and AI defenses. Every other route was a maze of automated patrols, heat sensors, and drones programmed to eliminate intruders on site. Alexa's plan was simple but dangerous: bypass the mid-level defenses, reach the server room, and extract the data that would expose NeonTech's crimes. She didn't expect to make it out unscathed, but she wasn't in this for survival. She was in it for justice. As the city slept, Alexa made her move. Dressed in a sleek black tactical suit designed for stealth, she scaled the side of the NeonTech tower using a magnetic grappling device. Her movements were precise, her breathing steady, but her mind raced with the stakes of the mission. "Nico, I'm in position," she whispered into her comm device. Nico, her hacker contact, was stationed remotely, monitoring the tower systems. "Copy that, Ramirez. I've looped the exterior cameras, but you've got about 10 minutes before they reset. Make it count." Alexa reached a ledge on the 23rd floor and pried open a ventilation panel. Slipping inside, she navigated the narrow duct, her visor's augmented reality display mapping out her path. The tower's interior was pristine, its hallways illuminated by soft, white lights that felt clinical and sterile. "First checkpoint coming up," Nico said in her ear. "Biometric lock on the door. Use the bypass tool." Alexa crouched by the sealed door and pulled a sleek device from her belt. The tool hummed as it mimicked a valid biometric signature. The lock clicked and the door slid open silently. She slipped inside, entering a stairwell that descended toward the lower levels. "Looking good so far," Nico said, but there was an edge to his voice. "Wait, hold up. I've got motion on the 30th floor underground. Security bots are patrolling. Looks like they're on high alert." "Figures," Alexa muttered. She descended the stairs quickly, pausing just outside the level where the server room was located. Through the visor's display, she saw the glowing heat signatures of the bots patrolling in rhythmic patterns. Their sleek frames were armed with mounted tasers and dart launchers, their movements eerily precise. "Nico, I need those bots offline," Alexa said, her voice tight. "Working on it," he replied, his fingers clacking on his keyboard. "Okay, got it. You'll have a 30-second window, starting now." The bots froze mid-motion, their lights dimming. Alexa didn't hesitate. She darted through the hallway, throwing an EMP grenade ahead of her as a precaution. The device erupted in a burst of blue light, disabling any remaining defenses. She reached the server room door, swiped the access panel with another bypass tool, and slipped inside. The room was enormous, filled with rows of humming servers glowing faintly in the dim light. In the center was the primary terminal, a sleek console that housed the data she needed. "Nico, I'm in the server room. Starting the extraction now." "Good," Nico said, his voice a little calmer. "But don't get comfortable. I'm seeing movement near your position. You've got hostiles inbound." Alexa plugged a data spike into the terminal, watching as the files began to download. Her visor's display scrolled through the data, evidence of illegal surveillance programs, government bribes, and human experimentation. This was what she needed to bring NeonTech down, but the download progress was painfully slow. The sound of footsteps echoed outside the server room. Alexa tensed, drawing her sidearm. The door hissed open, and 3 guards stormed in, their rifles aimed at her. Alexa dropped to the ground, firing precise shots that struck their weapons, disabling them before they could fire. "Alexa, more are coming!" Nico shouted in her ear. "You need to move, now!" The download completed, and Alexa yanked the data spike from the terminal. She sprinted toward a side exit, narrowly avoiding another squad of guards who fired on her as she disappeared into the shadows of the corridor. "Can you get me an exit route?" she demanded, her breath ragged. "Already working on it," Nico replied. "There's a maintenance hatch 2 floors up. Head there, and I'll take care of the drones outside." As she ran, alarms blared, and red lights flashed throughout the tower. Alexa knew NeonTech wouldn't let her escape easily. The real challenge was just beginning. The wail of alarms echoed through the steel corridors as Alexa Ramirez sprinted up the narrow maintenance stairs, her boots pounding against the metal steps. The data spike in her pocket was her lifeline, a small piece of hardware that held enough evidence to topple NeonTech Industries. But getting out of the tower alive was proving to be an entirely different challenge. "Nico, I need that exit now." She barked into her comm device, her breath ragged from exertion. "I'm working on it," Nico replied, his voice tense. "The drones outside are scrambling to lock down the perimeter. I can jam them for maybe a minute, but you've got to hustle." Reaching the hatch 2 floors above, Alexa paused just long enough to catch her breath and scan the hallway ahead. Her visor displayed heat signatures, 2 guards stationed at the hatch, armed and ready. She cursed under her breath. It was always the hard way. Pulling out a flash grenade from her belt, she primed it and tossed it into the hallway. The ensuing burst of light and sound disoriented the guards long enough for Alexa to rush forward. She slid low to the ground, knocking one guard's legs out from under him before disabling the other with a well-placed strike to the back of his neck. Both dropped to the ground, unconscious. "Clear," Alexa muttered, wrenching the hatch open and climbing through. A gust of cool night air hit her face as she emerged onto a narrow exterior ledge of the NeonTech Tower. The city stretched out below her in a sea of shimmering neon, a breathtaking but deadly backdrop. "Nico, what's my status?" she asked, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Not great," Nico replied. "The drones are sweeping your position, and I've got reinforcements inbound. Your best bet is to take the emergency zip line on the north side. It'll get you to street level." "On my way," Alexa said, hugging the edge of the ledge as she made her way around the tower. Below her, the city buzzed with oblivious life, unaware of the battle unfolding above. As she approached the zip line, a blaring noise signaled the arrival of a drone squad. Alexa turned just in time to see 3 sleek machines emerge from the darkness, their mounted weapons glowing ominously. "Nico," she shouted, "I'm jamming them. Just a few seconds more," he replied. "Hang tight." The drones wavered, their movements stuttering as Nico's hack took hold. Alexa didn't wait for a full shutdown. She grabbed the zipline handle and launched herself into the air, the wind ripping past her as she descended rapidly toward the street below. The drones gave chase, their weapons firing sporadically as they struggled against Nico's interference. The ground rushed up to meet her, and Alexa hit the street running, narrowly avoiding a barrage of gunfire. She ducked into an alley, her pulse hammering as she searched for cover. "Okay, you're clear." "Barely," Nico said. "Where to next?" "The data," Alexa replied. "We need to upload it." "There's a public access hub 2 blocks south," Nico said. "If you can get there, I'll push the data to every major network in the city." Alexa nodded, setting off at a sprint. The streets were eerily quiet, the usual chaos of the city subdued in the late hours. She reached the access hub, a nondescript terminal embedded in a wall, and plugged in the data spike. The interface lit up, displaying a progress bar as the files began to upload. "Hurry, Nico," Alexa muttered, her eyes scanning the street for signs of pursuit. "I'm on it. Just hold." Nico's voice cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Alexa's blood ran cold. Before she could react, a black hovercar descended from the sky, its sleek design unmistakable. NeonTech's emblem glowed faintly on its side. The door slid open and a figure stepped out, a tall woman in a sharp white suit, her expression calm and composed. "Detective Ramirez," the woman said, her voice smooth as glass. "You've caused quite a stir." Alexa's hand moved to her sidearm, but the woman raised a hand. "Please, let's not make this any more difficult than it already is. Return the data and I might consider letting you walk away." Alexa smirked. I'd almost believe you if I didn't already know what's on this drive. The woman's eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're dealing with. Neither do you, Alexa shot back. She pressed a button on her wristband, activating the final stages of the upload. The progress bar flashed 100% complete just as the first shots rang out. Alexa dove for cover as NeonTech's reinforcements arrived, but it was too late for them to stop her. The data was already in the cloud, disseminating to news outlets, whistleblower networks, and public servers across the city. The truth was out. Hours later, Alexa stood on a rooftop overlooking the city. NeonTech's advertisements still glowed brightly, but the cracks were starting to show. News feeds buzzed with the leaked files, exposing the corporation's crimes to the world. Protests were already beginning to form in the streets below. Nico, you there? She asked into her comm. Still breathing, he replied, his voice tired but triumphant. You did it, Ramirez. They're finished. Not yet, Alexa said, her gaze hard. This is just the beginning. As the city lights flickered below her, Alexa knew the fight wasn't over. NeonTech was wounded, but it wasn't dead. Not yet. And she would be there to make sure they never rose again.